Welcome back to Twist of Fate, a small business podcast where you can find your inspiration to make your entrepreneurial journey and dreams come true. I have a very special guest today, Miss Jessica McCall, the reigning, winning Miss Black USA 2022. Jess.
Yes.
Welcome to Twist of Fate.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow. So, all right. So let's talk about this. Now, Miss Black USA, is this a dream come true for you? Or did you believe that this was possible?
This is an absolute dream for me. Ever since I was in high school, I did pageants. My first title was Miss Black Sacramento, and as a little girl, I always dreamed of being Miss Black USA because I felt I had a story, and my heart was really to speak to the voice of the Black community, to empower us to be leaders in our community. So as a child, I didn't know if it would ever be reachable. But to see that it has actually happened, I'm so humbled, I'm so grateful, and I'm just looking for every moment to be able to inspire.
Now, you are an overachiever, and I definitely want to recognize you. Now, you had mentioned that you grew up here in Sacramento. What part of Sacramento did you grow up in?
Yes, actually, I grew up in an impoverished community called New Helvetia. It's a low-income community where I was raised, saw a lot of poverty, injustices plague our community, which is what inspired me for my future career.
And that career, my friend, you definitely achieved beyond your environment, going to college, and you're an attorney, right? You actually went to law school. And now, was that a first in your family?
Yes, I'm actually the first in my family to have any form of higher education, from college all the way to law school, and to breaking the generational hindrances and becoming the first to become an attorney.
Just needed our fist bump on that one. Okay, so the pinnacle of academic education is higher learning, right? And I mean graduate education. So what was your inspiration to make it through all that?
I've seen a lot of injustices plague our community, from landlord-tenant issues, discrimination, criminal matters. And in our community, we couldn't afford legal representation. And it frustrated me as a child seeing my mother have all these injustices and she couldn't afford an attorney, and different people that I came across. And I wanted to be a voice for them. I wanted to show our world, show our country, that justice should not cost money. It's not merely a privilege to have justice. It is a right that all people should be afforded.
Yeah, and look, we're at a time that I think, let's say this, I think there's a lot of recognition now of the inequalities in the criminal justice system. But I think where you're different is, you decided to not complain and point at the problem, but to do something about it. And I admire that. Now, you practiced law for some time and trying to help your community. And, is there any lessons or things that you got from that maybe you didn't expect? Or what was that experience like for you?
That's a wonderful question, because in high school, I first thought I wanted to be a public defender. A public defender came to one of our classes and she spoke about how she was advocating for people from my community, impoverished people, the Black community, and how she was making so much change in the legal system. And that really sparked me. I thought, hey, I want to be a public defender. So when I got to law school, I interned at the public defender's office, and I saw a lot of things happen there.
Which law school, by the way?
I went to McGeorge, University of Pacific, McGeorge School of Law. So
should be proud, right? Hey, I'm telling you, this is an overachiever. So then, and continue.
And so when I saw them celebrating some of the crimes that people were being acquitted for, just ethically, I come from a conservative family and conservative background. It just compromised some of my conservative views. So I had to segue over into becoming a criminal prosecutor because it really fit my niche. I wanted to be a voice for victims. That's really what I wanted to do, is be able to speak up for people in the vulnerable community that were victims of crimes. And that's kind of what segued me into becoming a criminal prosecutor initially in my career.
Excellent. Okay. And then, my friend, as you had mentioned, you have a laundry list of pageants you were winning, even while you were going through college, graduate school, but that resulted in the pinnacle achievement for you, Miss Black USA 2022. Maybe you could talk a little bit to my listeners, in your reign, there are certain things that matter to you, right? You have some you've had some time to accomplish some goals that were special to you. And would you mind sharing with my listeners some of those?
Yes, most definitely. I started out my community service journey in high school, committed 900 hours of community service at the Boys and Girls Club. I really loved being a mentor to kids in the impoverished background because I wanted so bad to give them hope, because in our community we didn't really have much hope. We kind of had this limited mindset that we were going to repeat the same things that we saw in our community. And so my whole purpose was to mentor the youth in the community. So I started out my purpose of mentoring the youth in the community, and that's why I got into pageantry, because I realized if I had accomplished something significant, something monumental, then I knew that they would listen to me, because they would say, wow, if she's able to have this platform and this type of achievement, there must be something credible about her to be able to speak into my life. And so that's when I started doing the pageantries, because it gave me more of a platform to vocalize and empower and embolden my community in the impoverished backgrounds to break out of that limitation to pursue their goals and dreams. And then I segued into health, and that's more so where my focus is now, because I've lost so many core mentors that helped pave the way for my success die prematurely in the Black community due to heart disease and cancer. And I wanted to focus on that. So for several years, I've been really advocating for Black women's health.
Good on you. That's something that we share in common. Both of my parents died of cancer themselves, as well as, to your point, I think there's a lot of missed opportunities to find a lot of terminal ailments in the Black community, like hypertension and so forth, that these can be solved, but for whatever reason, whether we don't trust the healthcare system or the healthcare system in some ways misses things. Like, this is clear, and I think that is a good cause on you. Now, could we talk a little bit about your platform? So, like, could you talk a little bit about that platform and how you use it, and maybe there's some parts of it that even surprised you, some of the reach that you can get?
Yes, well, each queen or each person that participates in a pageant, they have a certain cause that hits home for them, and they have a story to share. My platform is Living Purposefully, empowering Black women to live healthy and whole. Because throughout my research, I found two core causes of death for Black women. The first cause is heart disease. The second cause is cancer. And so I started researching back in 2018 to figure out, what can we do in the Black community in our daily lives to work towards preventing some of these health factors? Because of course we eventually get to the doctors and so forth, but there's certain behaviors that we can incorporate into our life on a daily basis to at least prevent getting to that point. And once I found these 6 core factors, I started researching it, and then I applied it and implemented it into a book in a comprehensive manner so that I could help provide that and disseminate it across the country.
Okay, I'm going to break the fourth wall and turn to our Black female listeners out there. You're special, and listen to Miss Black USA. Like, you have to go through the health screening. You have to take care of number 1, which is you. That's the starting point, and the rest of us we'll follow you, but that's important. So good on you. So I do want to talk about your book, but like, where I was mentioning before, like, I would think some of my listeners, they're not pageant winners either. So could you talk about this process? Like, how did you go about winning and even getting started for Miss Black USA?
That's an incredible question. I mean, where do you want me to start? Do you want me to start when I was in high school, or do you want me to start just from
No, I mean this, because I know back in high school you were winning pageants left and right. But my comment is, like, particularly Miss Black USA 2022, like, at what point in your mind were you inspired to do that? Because that was kind of your twist of fate, right? Like, it's time to go all the way, right? So what inspired you to do that?
Well, it started in high school. As I mentioned, I always wanted to be Miss Black USA, but it took me several years to get here. Some women are lucky. Some women can compete for their very first pageant. For example, Elle Smith, she was Miss USA of last year for Miss USA, the general pageant. But she went and competed and won her first time. For me, my process was I had to learn certain core aspects. For example, being able to articulate myself, being able to know who I am inside and out so that I can articulate my answer about any political questions in a graceful and a very kind way that considers all people, but at the same time be able to articulate my own personal opinion and be able to implement a platform that I have already been doing during my life. It's not just saying a cause that I want to implement in life. It's something, what have you already been doing to make change in your community? So it was a process for me of first finding my platform that I actually learned and had been implementing since 2018 on a daily basis, of speaking in different organizations, being a part of different walks and fundraisers and advocacy. But then the training for this pageant started last year. I hired a coach, because you have to have someone who's been there, who has won a national title, right? And learning how to be a national queen from studying various national winners. What makes you stand out? What makes you shine? How can you articulate your voice and your passion in a compelling manner that draws in the judges to see your heart in a true manner, and just spending the dedication and the consistency to make sure that I was ready and excellent on that day.
Okay, look, I'm really pumped up now. So let's talk more. I'm really pumped up about this. So I can tell you how humble you are, because, I mean, you're a criminal prosecuting attorney that I definitely can tell you, like, you can handle yourself in terms of articulation, but I understand what you mean about communicating with empathy and positivity and optimism, which you do. And secondly, good on you that you decided to hire a coach. Let's talk about that. So when you want to compete in a national competition, is it a pageant coach? Is it a beauty coach? Is it is it a life coach? Like, what were you looking for, and who did you get, and how did that work?
Well, the coach that I have, she is not only a pageant coach, but she is a life coach. She's still my coach to this day. She's actually coaching me through my reign, coaching me through my career, what other careers I want to implement. Because not only am I a lawyer, but I want to implement other careers. I want to have multiple streams of income. So she not only coached me for the pageant, but she's a life coach as well.
Did you know her prior to the pageant, or was this a person you were recommended to, or was there a referral?
No, I did my research. I had to research. There's a lot of different people that say they're coaches, but you have to do your research to find someone who really has the skill to get you to the top. So
fantastic. And she's not leading you the wrong way. I'll tell you that. If she's out there, hey, good job on you. Because actually, one of the points you made is something that's very important to me: passive income or secondary income streams. I think a lot of people underestimate, and they think that just because you have a good job, that's a state that will be there forever, that you want to build your multi-generational wealth and other income streams as you go, which is a good segue to this book that we're talking about. So let's talk about that. So at some point in time, you decided, I'm going to write a book. At what point, what inspired you to do that? Because I think there's a lot of listeners out there that are thinking about their story as special, but like for you, like what made you want to write a book?
Well, before I wrote the book, I would just do different social media lives, signature seminars, and workshops talking about health principles and research that I've done. And I started thinking, well, I need to make this easier for my listeners. I need to put this in a comprehensive manner so that they can have it at their fingertips and be able to incorporate it. Because although I was giving them all this wealth of information, I felt it would be easier for my listeners to have an actual in writing somewhere. And that's what motivated me to write this book.
Okay, and the name of the book?
Is Living Purposefully: Empowering Black Women to Live Healthy.
Oh, hey. I mean, that's empowering that you even wrote that. Now, and it's available on Amazon or...
Right now, because I wanted to disseminate it as much as possible nationally, I just have it available on my social media. So all they have to do is just click the link in my bio, and they can put in their email and download it. But my first goal is to reach a certain number.
Or your Instagram page.
Yeah,
right?
On my Instagram.
I saw that link in bio, right? Link in bio, everybody. You can go to Instagram.
Because I can easily sell the book, but my heart is just to get the information out. So I'm going to start with...
Free to all?
Yes, for all, for now, yes.
Come on.
And
now,
once I reach a certain number, then I'll start selling it. But my whole goal is I want to extend the life of the Black community. I want to see us live quality lives. And as we start implementing these 6 core principles, I believe we can prevent getting to those dire stages in our life. And I've actually seen my book work talking to different people who have actually downloaded my book, started implementing the principles, and now they're seeing their health improve. So seeing the people in my community who have downloaded the book or implementing the knowledge in there that I've researched, that's what I want to see.
Okay. So now you were writing the book prior to the Miss Black USA?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So okay, and then comes, you get this book out, which, again, good on you, like free for all, and all my listeners, please go and download that book. But then you get enrolled and you know that the Miss Black USA is coming. And this is, the pinnacle challenge that you've been preparing for, right? What was the experience like?
You start out by applying online, and then you get an interview. My interview was about 45-minute interview. It was a pretty long interview. And if they like you and you win, then you use your reign to, promote your platform, go out in the community. So that is all a part of the analysis. It's not just going on the day to compete. So the whole year your reign, you're showing and demonstrating, why are you Miss Black USA already? Because you have to be Miss Black USA before you get on the stage. So they're already looking at your performance in the community. How are you making an impact on your community? Are you living your platform? Is this just something you're speaking, or is this something you're living? And what is the impact in the community? Are people speaking about how your platform has changed their life? So I pretty much my whole year I was out in the community, promoting my platform, speaking at different places, signature workshops, stuff like that. So that was all part of my preparation. The actual competition, when you finally get there, you want to talk about that.
I want to know all of it. I definitely want to know it.
Well, there's a lot. So we have to learn choreography. So that's a part of it. We learn a choreography. We have to
dance choreography.
Dance choreography. Everybody has to learn how to dance. When you get there, you already have to have that dance mastered.
I mean, it's been some years since I was dancing. We shouldn't go there, but I'm a huge ABDC fan, so I love America's Best Dance Crew. So I love choreography. I'm with you.
You'd be perfect. No.
Oh, don't sign me up for that. Don't sign me up for that. I'm sure it'll be amusing to you, but. So keep going. So the choreography.
Yeah. So there was a mental preparation part as well for the pageant. I had to gain the confidence because there was a part during my preparation where I was kind of broken. I was doing some mock pageants to kind of get prepared. And during some of the mock pageants I did, I was pretty broken down by some of the mock judges in the pageants. So my confidence kind of fell. And so
broken down means criticism should be constructive, but was it deconstructive, or was it taking criticism publicly? What I want to know about that.
See, that's what it is. You could be someone who's accomplished like yourself, and sometimes it takes a certain experience where you start questioning yourself. I think everybody has that moment in their life where you think you're on top of the world, and this one experience comes and you're like, okay, maybe
you can get humbled real fast. You can eat humble pie real fast.
Exactly. So that was that experience because, like you said, I've been doing pageants since high school, been winning pageants. And so I came into this interview with just high elevation of confidence, and those judges completely tore me down. And it wasn't a constructive manner. It was more like a tear down, kind of like, you're supposed to be this strong Black attorney and you're not exuding that. Just kind of like you don't come off as an attorney. It was like tearing down who I was. And so I went through this kind of questioning period in my life. And so I said, no, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to build myself up because I know who I am. So I started writing these affirmations out about, I'm more than enough and all these different things. I speak confidently in front of crowds and they listen. I am fierce. I am powerful and stuff like that. Just speaking that every day, from waking up in the morning, then going to lunch, doing my affirmations. When I'm driving to different places, saying my affirmations, making sure I'm working on my mind. So that was a part of my preparation. And then I also did a vision board, and I put it right next to my desk while I was working. And I would look at it. The vision board had me, speaking confidently in front of a crowd and the judges standing up and clapping. And walking in my gown and being actually crowned with the crown and sash. And I had a photo of me previously winning a pageant.
You could see this.
Yeah, so I literally was seeing it every day. And that got into my mind to the point where I literally was Miss Black USA. When I went into that competition, no one could tell me anything. I already felt I was her. So my behavior started to show that I was already her. And so when I first arrived to the first day of competition when we were doing our dance, I made sure I had the confidence. I was on every day, dressed the part. Every outfit was pretty much planned, from the practices to just going out for dinner. I had every outfit planned. And so we had several days of practice. From our choreography, we had to practice that. We had to go in and audition our talent in front of the staff members. So that was part of our competition. We had to do an on-stage question, which was very complex. And my preparation for that...
and you don't know what the question's going to be.
You don't know what the question is. And I worked pretty hard for that.
Is it different for each contestant, the question?
Most definitely. You can't predict it. You can't. And I can tell you why, because I practiced literally every day. I had a panel of friends call me, video chat. I had my little teddy bears as the mock judges with a crown sash. Made sure I made eye contact with all my teddy bear judges and everything. And we went over thousands of questions, literally thousands of questions. I made sure I knew every current event. Thought I had it nailed all the way to the very hour before competition. While everybody was eating, I was in a little corner talking to my friend, and she was shooting me every political question.
Wow!
Even the new information that came out, there was new reports that very day, and she was like, "Hey, what do you think about this case? What do you think about this? What do you think about?" And literally, until they had to literally pry me out and say it's competition time. That's how much I practiced.
The criteria being judged in this pageant, including choreography, the outfits, the beauty part. But that question sounds like that's the one that stresses the most, right?
That is the highest scoring part.
Did you have to go first?
No, thank God. But that's what made it more grueling, because I kept hearing all these incredible answers. And I'm like, how can I top that? How can I top that? Oh my goodness, they had just amazing answers, right? And I get to my question, I was like, I got this. I've been preparing all the way up until the very second of competition. So I came in there confident. And the question was the most difficult, based upon the CEO, the most difficult question in the whole thing.
What did they ask you?
Essentially, DeSantis had, was regulating or implementing certain requirements in schools that you can't teach certain things, such as same-sex relations. And what was my perspective? And I was absolutely caught off guard, because like I said, I prepared thousands and thousands of questions. So I never came across this one. So this one was...
You weren't aware at that time?
I wasn't aware of this. I knew about it. No, I knew about it. But I hadn't prepared. I hadn't answered the question. I hadn't sat down and thought about it. So at first I felt the wind knocked out of my chest, because I couldn't breathe. I was like, oh my goodness, no, she didn't. No, she didn't ask this question. And then I took a deep breath. And I just put myself in the shoes of each person that was involved, because there's different perspectives. And I just showed my compassion first, that I understand. So I started my response with, I understand that different parents have different perspectives. Some parents have conservative views where they don't want their children taught certain, content. Other parents have more liberal perspectives. So I can understand that parents want to regulate what's taught in the schools, in summary. And then I said, however, in our society, because we are immersed with so much diversity, so much different beliefs, so much different practices, from ethnicity to sexual preferences, all these things, our children need to know the importance and be taught the importance of inclusivity and acceptance in our country. And that was really essentially my answer.
So, maybe it was to your advantage to get a potentially charged, not intended question, because it's the opportunity to hit the home run.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, in retrospect, right?
It didn't feel that way, because hearing all those answers from the other queens, and they got to talk about their platform, and they're like, and as your next Miss Black USA, I plan to do A, B, C, and D. And my question, I didn't get to do that. I had to literally stick with the objective facts, as, thinking from that attorney lens, but thinking also about the parents and having that empathy for the parents. So it was like, mine was more like a kind of set within certain parameters. So I left really feeling kind of broken, and I was texting my coach, and I was like, I didn't get to say, and as your next Miss Black USA, I was like feeling really kind of broken about my response, but come later and find out it was a good answer. So I was like, oh.
How did you score on this question? Is it a point system how they do it, or how do you find out how you did?
I don't remember the exact number, but I saw that I got the highest score. That's all I remember.
Amazing.
So there's the onstage questions, the highest category. Then it's talent. So you have to have a very good talent. That's the second highest part.
Do you get to choose which talent it can be?
Yes.
What did you
That's
choose?
the best part. I sang this time.
What did you sing?
I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston.
Oh, wow. Okay. Whitney is special to the Black
She
community,
is. She
right?
is.
Right? You know, like, come on now, like, right song, but that's a high bar and big shoes to fill, right? But that must be familiar territory to you.
Most definitely. Whitney Houston's my favorite singer in the
there
whole
we
world.
go.
But at first, I was shying away from Whitney, and the reason why is because I thought, well, I'm in a Black pageant. Pretty much, you're gonna have a lot of skillful singers. So I thought a lot
But
of
you did your homework. You said there were, you know.
But I thought, well, if there's a chance there's one or two singers, they might all sing Whitney Houston. So
But none of them did?
luckily, my coach actually, because I was going to sing a whole different song, my coach suggested you need to just sing what you're comfortable with. You have a strong voice. Go ahead and sing Whitney.
Wow. I mean, I'm sure and I Am Nothing. I mean, that's a powerful song.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And then you do well. It goes to the judges' scorecards. Did you still think, because you had that mental projection that you wanted to win, that you did the hard work to win, did you just know that you were going to win?
Okay, there's a difference between faith and fact, okay? So I had faith. I was speaking it out. I was believing it. I was being her. But fact, I didn't know I was going to win. I didn't know because there were so many incredible women. This group of women are impeccable. They are impressive. I literally was around doctors, people who had dual careers of doctors and nurses. One woman running for mayor in her location. It was just like, oh my gosh, every person had a high accolade, very articulate. One woman was multi-talented. She played the drum and several instruments, and she was a pianist. I was like, how could I go against a pianist? Like, I thought I was done when I saw her and how incredible she was, amazing dancers. So honestly, when it came down to the announcement, I didn't know I was going to win. And when they announced my name, I literally stayed in my spot.
Because you weren't sure it was real,
Yeah,
right?
I thought it was a Jamie Foxx moment. I was like, maybe she said that name on accident, so I'm gonna go ahead and wait until she corrects it. So I waited.
Wow. And the roar of the crowd, cheers, those other contestants, I'm sure, hugged you. That was a moment in your life, right?
It was, because the surprising part is I was all the way across from California, number one. Number one, I was the first Californian to ever win Miss Black USA across all age groups. From no teen has ever won in California, no Ms. or Ms. So I was the very first since 1986. And then second, I didn't have anyone there with me. My family couldn't make it. So when I first was competing, I told my coach, I was like, no one's going to be there for me. No one's going to scream, or, I won't have a support. When I went there, I tell you, you would have thought I brought the entire room. I mean, the whole crowd was screaming. People just out of nowhere, like they were my family. And it just meant the absolute world to me.
Jesse knows that means you killed that Whitney Houston. Let's say that, right? Like you wouldn't have hurting on that. I have nothing. That most.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like one lady. After I sang the song, some lady's like, "You better walk." You better. And it was like as if my mom was there. So it was like everything that I was afraid of, it was all relieved that day. And just to see that much support from those people and how happy they were meant absolutely the world to me. And it was a very humbling moment.
Okay, then if you had a final thought to my Black women listeners, if they were seeking to do a beauty pageant or to be an attorney or to take any of the road that you've walked, is there any thought or recommendation you would have of them that is something that they could carry from you, that advice to get through this process?
Well, I'll leave you with an acronym, NFT, and it encompasses pretty much my whole life and my principles. The first principle is never give up. Some of the things you may face in life, you may face people who discourage you in your dreams, your aspirations, or you may feel like you want to give up. Never give up, persevere, implement the hard work and dedication and consistency to accomplish whatever goal you have. The second is F for focus and find your passion. Each of us have a purpose in our life. Like you have your purpose for this wonderful podcast, and you need to find whatever issue, cause that you feel that you can have a significant impact. Focus on that and do what it takes to accomplish it. And finally, be true to yourself. Don't compromise who you are. Don't let society define your beauty, your intelligence, your capabilities. You need to be true to who you are.
The reigning Miss Black USA, I am honored, I am proud that you came here today. This is a good segue to my final thoughts to my listeners. I hope that you are as inspired as I was today, that Jess here has redefined what beauty is. You see, it goes beyond the apparel, the garment, it goes beyond the makeup. It's really the beauty inside that you clearly see in front of you, to stand with her community, to create solutions, access to free knowledge, and to win the day. And to me, I hope that inspires you, whether you're of the Black community and other communities. There are lessons that you can apply to your life. Our ladies out there, you're special. Our Black women out there, to me, like you helped raise me. You're very special. And I hope that you enjoy this content. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. It really helps us out. We are trying to make this free content available to all of you so that you can start your business, you can compete in life with planning, passion, and optimism. With that, I'll see you on the next Twist of Fate.
Twist of Fate is hosted by Doug Younger. It's produced by John Lundvid and Matthew Brown at Ezo Creative. Moni Yu designs our graphics, and Enrique Pimentel manages our digital life. Our theme music is by Jamie Bathgate. Special thanks to all of our patrons. You can support the show by visiting patreon.com/twistoffatepodcast. Thanks for listening.